Welcome everybody to Extreme Off-Road Silly Bills, and today we're dealing with the 2010 Aston Martin 177. Now this has 1003 horsepower, 726 pounds-feet of torque from its 7.3 litre twin turbocharged V12 engine. The car itself now weighs 3,246 pounds, has off-road tyres, all-wheel drive and off-road suspension, and it can now do 0 to 60 in 2.636 seconds, 0 to 100 in 5.041 seconds, and going to a top speed of 210 miles an hour. So yeah, this isn't the first Aston Martin that we've had on this series. We've had two before this. We've had the Aston Martin Valhalla concept car and the DBX. So I'm expecting this to be more alongside the Valhalla, as the DBX is an SUV. Although obviously a very light SUV, it's an SUV regardless, whereas this and the Valhalla are not. They are more supercars. So yeah, I'm expecting it to be more alongside that concept car. But still, it's got decent stats. The braking, the launch, the acceleration and the speed are all very rather good. The off-road capability is fairly good as well, considering what car it is, but obviously it's still below 8, so it's not perfect. And yeah, the handling has definitely been compromised with the off-road suspension, the off-road tyres, and the fact it's got a hell of a lot more power than it had originally. So yeah, we're talking about 250-ish horsepower more, which I know doesn't sound a huge amount, but obviously this is still quite an old car in terms of cars of this kind of power. 750 horsepower in 2010 was reasonably unheard of. Obviously we had some Cummins eggs and the like that were around that kind of power, but certainly was a first for Aston Martin. So whether or not that's going to come through and negatively impact this car, we'll have to see. So yeah, hope it does well though, because it is one of my favourite Aston Martins, and one I am glad has returned to the Forza series via the festival playlist. So yeah, if you've not got it, then I do highly recommend getting it, because it's a fantastic supercar, and one that should be tried by all. It is a little bit archaic in some regards compared to cars nowadays, but still, does not necessarily mean it's going to do badly here. Certainly got plenty of speed on the go. The V12 in this is the standard car's engine. It's just now got 2 turbochargers and more power. Yeah, still a pretty formidable sized V12. I think I'm right in saying it's the biggest V12 that Aston Martin have ever put in a road car before. And even in stock form it shifts, so now with more than 1,000 horsepower it's properly quick. You can see it's dealing with all of the off-road stuff fairly well so far. Any understeer that I can see, and considering it's got all-wheel drive, which I've never had originally. Now the thing about this car is obviously the weight, which is still quite heavy. I don't think it's quite as heavy as the DBX because it's an SUV, but I think it's definitely heavier than the Valhalla was. But that was a pretty slow car because it was one of the first cars that we took out in this series, so that's why it's not quite as high up the leaderboard as it might well have been had we have more experience. But when it comes to the end of this series, we will do a few cars in a row that we've done before that we feel could have run better, either due to my lack of experience on this series or changing it up in terms of what we give the car in terms of power and the like. Because there's some cars where I've gone a little bit overboard in terms of power and ruined their chances, which doesn't seem to be the case for this car though. It's handling everything really rather surprisingly well. Those brakes coming in handy there to slow us down. Seem to bounce a little bit at times, which is not helpful in terms of control. Not the fastest rate of speed down that bit there. Again, I think it's purely because it just seems to bounce a little bit now and again, which is a bit unnerving. Because obviously if you're up in the air, you've got no control. Definitely far more agile than you'd think for a car of this kind of weight and size. So it's by no means a small car. We are on for a surprise here. This is comfortably the fastest Aston Martin we've had so far in this series, by nearly, you know, it's about 8 seconds quicker than the DBX, which is a remarkable amount of speed. Yeah, it's about 8.5 seconds quicker than the DBX, and therefore also about more than 10 seconds quicker than the Valhalla, which is mightily impressive. It's so impressive, in fact, it's gone straight into second place, beating out the Brabham BT62, the Lotus Avaya, the Peugeot 207 Super 2000s, which by the way is a rally car, the Extreme E number 44 X44, which is, you know, an off-road, you know, electric car, which is really rather impressive, as well as the Sierra cars Yokohama Alpha, the Deberti Toyota Tacoma, the Dodge Coronet Super B, the Hennessy Venom F5, and it knocks the Subaru WRX STI ARX supercar out of the top 10, which is also obviously an off-road vehicle. So yeah, that was remarkably quick. I'm really surprised by how quick it was, because it didn't actually feel all that fast. It was obviously really rather quite competent in a lot of ways, but like I said, it was bouncing around at times, which did, you know, slow it down a little bit. But yeah, we're less than 3 seconds off the Hot Wheels 2 Jets, which still sits at the top of the leaderboard. So yeah, we are getting slowly closer to getting that Hot Wheels off the top of the leaderboard, but still, alas, it is at the top of the leaderboard even after this episode. But still, mightily impressive time, and yeah, a massive surprise. So yeah, not only a great car in stock form, but also surprisingly a really rather good off-road vehicle as well. But nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.